Warning: out of this world ideas will be discussed on this podcast. Viewer discretion is advised. So I want to just talk to you all about the strange journey I have been on over the last, let's say, year now? Year and a half? It has not been very long, but it has been my awakening in a certain way. So in 2023, I was in the middle of a lot of stuff. 2023 was a really turbulent year in my life. A lot of things I felt like were not going right, and things felt like they were breaking apart and dissolving in many ways. Like I was trying to hold together this massive web of what I thought my life was supposed to be. And then in the center of this kind of crazy, frustrating, confusing year, I start finding these videos on TikTok of Neil Armstrong and his refusal to swear that he walked on the moon.
Mr. Armstrong, Bart Sibrel, ABC Digital. Wanted to give you the opportunity to swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Gentlemen. Mr. Sibrel.
Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the into the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Sibrel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Really? Well, no, it's a real Bible. You have the opportunity to have $5,000.
The meeting is not open.
Well, you have $5,000 cash. You can give it to charity if you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Please
I have
give
a
it to
tape.
charity. It'd be fine.
Why don't you swear to, why not? Why won't you do it? So why don't you put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
And you can go deeper into this, but there's been a long-standing view that the moon landings were faked, right? That has been a quote-unquote conspiracy theory for a very long time. And I believe that the moon landings were faked, that this is a falsehood.
Mind you, my film cost $1 million. It was financed by a board member of an aerospace company who builds rockets for NASA, who knows it's fake, who gave me $1 million to produce these films as his patriotic duty to expose it.
What I believe is that this moon landing film, the first one specifically, is the most important film that Hollywood ever made, because it explains exactly what they do, and it explains the most important world belief that we all share today that unifies us in this matrix.
So this is the one. He hops by, and as he hops by, the breeze makes the flag blow.
Because he's in an air environment. He's not on the moon.
Right. That is a weird one. Do it again. Look at this. As he hops by, he doesn't touch the flag. The thing looking so goofy is so crazy. Like that thing is supposed to get off 1/6 Earth gravity and fly like that? How? What's it doing? It looks so fucking fake. It looks like it's being pulled by strings. Look, it might be real. I'm certainly not an astronaut. I don't know what I'm talking about. But if you had a guess, if you showed this to me and said, hey, do you think this is real or fake? And you didn't give me any context, I'd be like, what is this? A cheap science fiction movie? What is this?
Hollywood makes audiovisual images, videos, films, whatever you want to call them, that you believe what you are being shown. Okay, and we accept this all the time. Obviously, in a fiction Hollywood film, they create things that look real that you believe, but are not real. And you also believe that they only do that in the safe place that is fictional storytelling, right? They never use their ability, their skill set of deception in other areas, right? But they do. And the biggest deception that our world leaders have ever pulled off is the moon landings, is the American moon landings, because it solidified this vision of America, and ultimately the moon landing solidified the US dollar as the most powerful currency in the world, because it was a belief symbol, right? Like you connect an idea with something that happens in reality, and now you supercharge it.
But boy, it looks fake. It also looks fake in the way it's moving up. It's watch it again, Jamie, because it's moving up like it's being pulled by strings.
Well, it looks fake because it is fake.
But most things that look fake are fake. Not all of them, but the vast majority of things that look fake are fake. Now watch how this pulls up. Here it goes. It detaches. It's like...
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
And I don't want to make this a whole big thing where I'm like talking for 3 hours about what is the evidence for the moon landings happening or not, right? I think go to Sabrell.com, read Bart Sabrell's book, and just look into it, right? Okay, we didn't land on the moon. And that's very emotionally difficult for people to hear.
If you really went to the moon and spent $200 billion, you would never destroy the technology. But one of the clips we have is them saying that they intentionally destroyed all of the equipment to go to the moon. All the diagrams, all the hardware, all the schematics, all the original telemetry of where the rocket was at the time, and all the original videotapes. Here's what they said they did with this amazing technology.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Well, you know, it's really interesting. It's such a painful process to build it back again because in the 1960s, it only took 6.5 years to build the technology to go to the moon. I mean, and now, 50 years later, it's going to take more than 6 years with all the development and technology. I mean, please, somebody out there, if you could tell me one moment in the entire history of the world where new technology, whether it be fire or radio or television or nuclear fusion, when they, split the atom into nuclear reactors, nuclear bombs, or a cell phone, or a microwave oven, or an airplane, any time in the entire history of the world where a technology was developed and then they threw it in a furnace along with all the schematics. Because that's what they did. All the blueprints from Apollo are destroyed. All the telemetry data is destroyed. All the battery specifications, electronic specifications of the lunar module, they were destroyed. Now, if you can tell me one other time in the entire history of the world where technology was developed and then they threw it away when they were done, then maybe I'll admit that the moon landings are real. But it's never happened before. After Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic in 1927, 50 years later, there were 747s and millions of aircraft flying across the Atlantic. And yet we're to believe 50 years ago, on the very first attempt, with 1/1,000,000th the computing power of a cell phone, they went 1,000 times farther than the best rocket can travel today with a man on board. And people still think they went to the moon. I mean, it just boggles my mind. And here I am pleading and begging with people to wake up for the purpose of reforming the government, reforming the earth, reforming mankind to truthfulness, honesty, integrity. And no one cares. In fact, they so much don't care, they naively defend criminal behavior. Ron Howard's grandfather warned him the moon landings were fake. He didn't listen. He wanted to make an IMAX movie. He went to NASA, said, give me all the originals so I can transfer it to HD, and project it at 120 feet wide. They said, give us a couple of days. And in those days, they lost every single original videotape from every single Apollo mission. Now, if you really went to the moon and spent $200 billion, the last thing you would do is destroy that technology. But if you perpetrated a fraud, that's exactly what you would do.
And so this broke my mind. And so I remember it was April of 2023 where I really solidified it in my mind and saw the truth. I read Bart's whole book, watched all these videos, did the research, and it just blew my mind. And from that point, that really got me on a rabbit trail. And that rabbit trail led me very quickly to flat Earth and flat Earth theory, and the idea that we are not on a spinning ball, but this is the center of the universe, that you are sitting in the heart of God right now, in God's green place, and that the stars above you are not random, but are actually specifically placed. And so when I kind of unwrapped the lie of the moon landing, and I realized like, oh wow, no, we live under great deceivers. We live under wizards. We live under people who can create an image and get other people to believe it. That is what wizardry is at its fundamental core, right? It's not about creating something out of nothing. The way that you create something out of nothing is by creating a belief in someone's mind. Thought then becomes action. You control a group of people through the imprinting of beliefs in their minds as spells. And those spells, your code, as it were, then directs their view of the world and keeps them within a system. Because that's what, there's a reason that, like Universal, they use the globe, right? You see the image and symbol of the globe Earth used so regularly in Hollywood filmmaking, because it's a signature of the league, right? It's a symbol of those in control who are directing the beliefs of the slave population or the matrix population, which is all of us. So once I figured out that the moon landing was fake and that this is what Hollywood does, and I started to realize more and more like this place I was in, right? Because I'm in Hollywood at this time. So I'm in Burbank, California, realizing that the moon landing is fake. I'm literally down the street from the studios. And so I'm here and walking around the streets of Burbank at 3 a.m. in the morning, like having this existential crisis, like that I don't know anything. And that, you know, the liars are in charge, essentially, right? The great liars are in control. And the proof is the moon landing films. Because they invented a fake history through film, through saying this was real. Once I learned that the moon landings were faked, then that object in the sky, that moon, it no longer is a space rock. I don't know what it is. It removes the spell or the lie that I was holding on to that told me what that object was in the sky. It's a random rock because all the planets have moons and everybody's got a moon and moons aren't special and all of this, right? Just like the sun. The sun's not special. The sun's just another star. All those other twinkling lights are exactly like the sun that to my naked eye looks obviously different. But nope, that one's just the same as all the other ones. Ours isn't special. It's not unique. You know, we're just a spinning ball floating around that guy. But once I'm like unwrapping these, like this just narrative of lies, now I'm saying, okay, well, wow, it is fascinating that the sun and moon happen to be the exact same size, almost perfectly. And wow, it's almost as if they literally represent the masculine and the feminine in the firmament above us. And that was essentially my whole end of 2023 and into 2024, where I was like really thinking about the sun and the moon. And just how like we have been told that these two massively important objects in the sky, massively important lights that we don't understand, right? Like the sun keeps us all alive. It is the most important technology that exists, is the sun, right? Like this God created breath of life thing that is above us, right? And then the moon is its partner. And I was like just fascinated by this for a long time. Finally, I left California at the end of February of 2024. And I was just like, you know, I was very much kind of on this moon landing is fake and the earth is flat and, you know, we're all gonna die. Like, I was really kind of doomsday about stuff for a minute there. Just because, like, it's so cataclysmic. And I know that, you know, now I'm able to come onto this podcast and talk about it some more. But if you are somebody listening to this and this is your first time really thinking about, like, maybe the moon landing didn't happen. Maybe we aren't on a globe Earth. Maybe we are on something else. Like, maybe this is a special place. Maybe it's not just a place of meaningless like they like to say it is. Maybe it actually matters. Maybe the sky above us is important and matters, and the objects that we see above us are important and matter, as is plainly obvious to our naked eye, yet because we sit in these classrooms and are told lies by Satanists that somehow what is obvious to our true eyes then becomes lost in their garbage.
And when you see that we're not on a spinning ball, it's pretty obvious that there's a God. Okay? And I know that's pretty direct, but that's a fact. You actually feel and see God when you realize we're not spinning out of control in infinite darkness. When you look around and you realize that those stars are not that far, that sun is guiding, that moon is keeping track, the light of the night, the Bible starts being more accurate than those fucking science books. A shiver goes down your spine. Maybe you are being watched. Maybe you are being judged. Maybe you were created, and when you die, you will be judged. Because when you're on a spinning ball, there is no up. There's no God above. At what time of the day is God above in Australia? It breaks the entire fucking faith in God.
I believe that the fact that we have one sun and one moon is the same reason we have one man and one woman, right? Like, I believe we are sitting in a unified creation in the universe. I do not believe that we are on a spinning ball. I believe that we are on some sort of realm of a flat plane of some kind, like Minecraft. I don't know how big it stretches. I don't know what the dimensions are. Is there a big old ice wall? Who knows? Maybe. That seems to be the dominant theory. What's behind there, I don't know. But it's not even supposed to be so much about it being flat. When you understand that we're not on a spinning ball, therefore then you realize that the stars and the planets and the celestial bodies that are above our head, in the literal heavens above us, they are not random. Okay, that's the most important thing to be thinking about, because this is what leads us into a discussion about astrology. The sun and the moon and the planets, they all move in a line. They move through this belt. It is the ecliptic belt. This belt is where the 12 signs of the zodiac are. So in astrology, right, you hear people talk about, what's your zodiac sign? I'm an Aries, I'm a Gemini, I'm a Cancer. What does that mean? All of those names are attached to a particular constellation, 12 of them specifically, that the sun, moon, and planets are always moving through. Okay, the sun, moon, and planets are in a line. That's the thing too that kind of makes me freak out a little bit. Is like, if you look at it, and the sun and the moon and the planets are in a line, and like you're seeing that visually. Okay, so here we have Venus in Libra sitting right by the moon, as you can see, then right up. See how they're in a line, right up that line? We have Mercury sitting in Virgo right by the sun. Obviously, they make the sun look stupid and lame and small because this is a globalist app. Then we've got Mars sitting in Gemini. See, they're all in this line, and you're going to see this even more if you're using the Skyview app yourself on your phone. Now we have Jupiter in the horns of Taurus, and we just keep moving through this ecliptic belt. Isn't that fascinating? And there's Saturn in Aquarius, right? All of the sun, moon, and planets, they're in a line together, moving through specific constellations. Isn't that crazy? So the idea is that the sun is the physical representation of masculinity in the sky. The moon is the physical representation of divine feminine in the sky. And then these two foundational frequencies or energies, life bearers, things created by God with the breath of life, they sit at the sort of top of the hierarchy of the celestial beings above our head. And then from there we have the planets, the wandering stars. And the planets move. That's why they become important. They have their own energy and they have their own frequency. And then they move through a belt of 12 different constellations. That is the zodiac belt. Oh man. And so this is so big.
If I were going around saying George Washington was not the first president, it was really Mickey Mouse, do you think there'd be 1,000 videos to reassure people that George Washington was the first president and not Mickey Mouse? But there's 1,000 videos out there that took tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours to produce to defend the moon landings. If it's so obvious, they should speak for themselves. It has to be continually supported because it's made out of straw. That's why.
We live in a world of elites, of course, and so then it's like, okay, well then what is the language of the elites? What is the way in which they control us? What are the symbols that they use? And I believe the most important symbol is the globe Earth, because it takes you away from the obvious reality that we are in a divine universe of some kind. Period. Once you realize that none of the stars and none of the celestial bodies above your head are random, then it wakes you up to the reality of innate meaning. Because the sun has innate meaning. It is not just a random star in a random vacuum at some random point in a random universe. And that moon is not just, we could have had 7 moons and blah, 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 and Saturn's got 68 moons and all this crap. No. That sun is a symbol as well as a physical object. It is a spiritual thing as well as a physical thing. It is representative of an idea, and it is also a physical manifestation of that, right? It is the sun is the physical manifestation of masculinity in its highest form, divine masculinity, right? What is divine masculinity? Daily consistency and an outpouring of love, right? That's what the sun is doing, right? It gives us love. It brings life to all things, and it always comes up. It's never missed. And then in the same way, the moon also has a massive impact. It has a massive impact on the waters of the earth, right? The idea that the moon controls the tides is the basic big idea, but then you can take that way more specific, right? And also say that the moon literally controls the waters in your body, right? Your blood, your fluids, these sorts of things. And that's why on a full moon, you have more craziness, more high emotion, more high energy, because of the intensity of the movement of the waters, the movement of the emotions. So what do you think, dear viewer? Do you have undeniable proof that the earth is a globe and that I'm crazy? Please let me know in the comments below. Do you have undeniable proof that the earth is flat and this is a meaningful universe? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any angry expressions, evil desires, hate to spew against me, then the comment section is yours, baby. Feel free to get crazy with it. Tell me something interesting. Give me some new info. Rebut a point. I would love to hear. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the Writer's Mind Podcast Season 2. I'll see you next time.